Okay, so boom, challenge accepted. This is a little bit more of an homage to the way I used to do my YouTube videos. I do plan on being more aggressive as far as my reviews and stuff like that. They're going to be sparingly throughout my reaction videos because the reaction videos are fun. So in the meantime, let's get into this AtomOS recorder. As far as I'm concerned, the AtomOS recorder is a part of the GH5, just like the battery is. I never take it off the camera no matter what. I mean, it just stays on the camera all day. Some cons to get them out the way: battery life is bad. That's just what it is. Battery life is bad, so get you some 8,000 milliamp batteries, like I said in the Sony review. I'll link to it right here. Other than that, it completely unlocks the full potential of the GH5 and is a device that, let's say you're working with an A7S2 or an A7R3, there's only potential and room for those things to get better once you attach this to that device. So there's that. And then with Nikon, where's my Nikon? With the Nikon Z6, this is just gonna completely blow the doors off of any mirrorless camera outside of the Pocket Cinema 4K, of course, but that doesn't do stills, so it's a different beast altogether. But as far as I'm concerned, the AtomOS is something that every person that is considering trying to get the best quality from their mirrorless camera or DSLR, you highly want to get it. For one thing, it just is head and shoulders over the LCD screen that you have that comes with the camera. Focus peaking is, I mean, going from not having focus peaking to having focus peaking, trying to go backwards is very difficult. Using a field monitor's focus peaking and assist tools and then trying to go to a mirrorless cameras, that's difficult as well. That's how substantially improved monitor focus assists actually are. They work very well. Then you have false color, of course, which really helps you map out where your exposure is at as far as darkness in or shadows and midtones. Especially people of color, you can't light us the same way you would light, you know, people with more fair skin. So false color really helps you nail your exposure for stuff like that. It's very robust but slim. It doesn't at all get in the way. It's not heavy. You could easily mount it. I recommend getting a mount that articulates in multiple directions, because when you grow your kit and grow your camera, you're gonna want to put it on over the shoulder eventually. I mean, that's where you'll end up. And if you have one that just flips forward and back, you won't be able to do that. So spend a little extra money, get a magic arm or just something that has, you know, more articulating points than just one. Probably my favorite feature is the fact that it takes caddies. And with that, it allows you to be able to pop SSDs in and out. From there, you could use devices such as this. It's a SATA cable to USB-C. And from stuff like this, you can literally go straight into your computer and edit from the terabyte hard drive, which I highly recommend. Get you a terabyte, be done. They're like 150 bucks. Highly recommend it. Right now, currently I have like 8 projects on my AtomOS recorder. I'm terrible, but it was kind of just something that I said I would never do. And then I did it once, and it was just like, it just helps with the quick turnaround. You know, especially when I'm doing these reaction videos, I can, you know, record them all, then edit them, and then just pop them out and import files onto the terabyte, export them, and then boom, keep it moving. So it's definitely something that's going to increase your workflow. One of my favorite things is probably going to be the fact that it's working in proxy. So if you have a Windows computer or a Mac computer, Mac respectively would be ProRes, Windows would be, I think it's called DNX. Either way, the codecs that these mirrorless cameras spit out aren't the most digestible things for most computers, so it really bogs them down. Prime example would be when you try to do 400 all-I 10-bit from the SSD into the computer. Man, you have to edit to proxy, but it takes so long to even just render the file. I haven't noticed a difference in quality between the ProRes and the 400 All-I. What I have noticed though is the tremendous saving in time. I mean, the computer just chews through ProRes, and it's almost as if it's, won't at all try to work with the codec that comes out of the camera. So if you want to increase your speed, it's also going to be super important for that. Not to mention, in the editing world, time is money. Like if you can churn out projects really quickly and get them edited done really fast, you can make more money. It's just the law of the beast. So definitely being able to edit straight from the caddy, from the computer, and then on top of that in ProRes. Now, I will say this: ProRes files that AtomOS recorder spits out are twice the size of anything that comes out of an SD card, and that's in low quality. There's LT, HQ. I think there's one more setting. The HQ, humongous file. I mean, I think I want to say it's like 4 times the size of the file that comes out of the SD card. Also, on top of the fact that we're on SD cards, I might as well mention, if you are running with a GH5 or something with dual card slots, you can potentially have up to 3 backups when you hit record one time. So you'll write to the SSD, you'll write to the memory card, and then if you have it set up for redundancy, you can write to the memory card a secondary time. So you'll have 3 versions of the one file. Now, if you're doing like a super important documentary or super important something where you just want to make sure that you have multiple backups, there's a huge potential for you to be able to have a tremendous amount of peace of mind. I've never had a memory card fail on me, but I have heard of people that have had it happen to them, and they're always horror stories. So it's just a good way for you to be able to have more peace of mind. Another thing that I find kind of annoying is the power button. I just don't like the way it's built. It just doesn't seem. If you look at the Shinobi, they changed it up a bit. I don't know if that's just because the model's different. Obviously, it doesn't have a recorder built into it, but the button seems to be in a much more intelligible place, and seems like something that'd be a little easier to get to. Not a big deal. It's just sometimes when I try to turn it off and turn it on, I lock it, and then I'm stuck in a stupid loop of locking when I'm trying to turn it off, or I never lock it. I don't really see the benefit of locking it. Also, they changed the layout of the on-screen buttons to be a little bit more accessible because the monitor is a little bit smaller. It definitely is something that needs a little bit more polishing. Often, one thing I can say, I haven't really hit a button that I didn't mean to hit. I don't know how that's possible because the buttons are really, really tight. But I usually hit the button that I want to hit, and then it's also pretty intelligent. The sliders are kind of magnetic, so they pop to where you want to be. Like, let's say you're sliding it and you accidentally go too far. Well, if you take it and slide it back, it usually pops back to neutral very quickly. It's intuitive in that aspect. But I also find that there's a lot of buttons that I wish they were just customizable. I wish the row of buttons at the bottom, I could pick what I wanted them to be. One issue I do have is when you're trying to slide up and down your recorded files, I just wish they're so tightly packed in there. I got these big Pepperidge Farm fingers that oftentimes I hit the wrong recording, and it's labeled by number, so if you're not paying attention to what number it is, it can get a little frustrating. Nothing too crazy. I just wish they would space it out just a little bit more, and maybe if there was like a pre-play button. There's the ability to add LUTs, which work great. I don't really do that all that often. It's probably something I should get more into. Of course, GH5 users, we've already had that, but this definitely streamlines it. It allows you to be able to have, I think, 7 LUTs pre-programmed. You can just swap through them. You can have it played at 50%. You can change the opacity, and of course, you could bake it in to the image if you want something that is a little bit faster. Very usable and intelligent design behind the way they did the LUT. The LUTs, they had very good inspiration, and it is executed well. One thing that's very smart that they did The Focus HD monitors or HD focus monitors automatically rotate when you flip them. This doesn't do that. However, you can hit the settings and hit the flip button, which is always upside down, which is just smart. It just allows you to be able to identify it really quickly because the buttons are upside down. Very, like, some of the things that they do is very smart. Like, it's very intelligent design behind some of them. I feel like it just needs a little bit of tweaking and it would be absolutely perfect. Other than that, though, I mean, the monitor works very well. You can monitor up to 8 tracks or something like that with headphones. Of course, there's a line out, so you can run audio straight into it. That's what I do. I have a separate recorder and I run it straight into the monitor, which is essential because it does have some fan noise. I mean, there's no way around that. It does have fan noise, which is not as frustrating as you think it would be at first, because when the fans kick up, they go into overtime. Like, it's loud. Basically, you know, it ramps up and then it ramps back down, and then it's just a little hum. It's audible. You can hear it. My aperture light, I've never noticed that, but with the recorder, you will hear it. It's probably going to be the loudest thing in the room outside of somebody breathing. Another thing that it has that I really like is that it has a little red beeping light that if you're across the room or you're not necessarily next to it, you can tell that it's recording just because it has the red dot that flashes. You usually find that on only more premium camcorders. I also like the fact that there's a big red border around the picture to let you know, hey, you're recording. One time it stopped for some reason. I did have one freakishly strange thing where it just stopped and my buttons were my settings were a little different. I powered it off, powered it on, it worked. But I was easily able to tell that I wasn't recording because there was no red border. Like, it was so obvious. So I really like that. As far as HDMIs go, I hear people say that they use $8 cables and they work. Just be careful with quality control for stuff like that. I highly recommend that you get a decent cable and you get 2 of them. And the reason why is because it's a different camera without the HDMI cable, because you're not gonna have access to ProRes, you're not gonna have access to SSD, you're not gonna have access to LUTs. I mean, you're not gonna have access to 4K 60 10-bit. Like, it literally becomes a different camera without the HDMI cord. And if you are in the field and something goes bad, you usually have backup battery, lenses, stuff like that. So make sure you have a backup HDMI cord. It only makes sense. I don't want this video to be too long. I just wanted to chime in and say how much I love it, because I feel like more people should know about it. I do have like a more GH5 centric video. I don't know if I'm gonna drop that or not, because this pretty much covers that. But thank you for stopping by. Like, subscribe. Make sure you share this with somebody that is thinking about getting a recorder. It could be a useful tool to them. I know it would help me out when I was thinking about buying it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.